Feminism is a scam.
Feminism is a scam. I do not want to be independent. I want to be so codependent. I need my husband. I want my husband. I want to follow his lead. That's how God created me. He created me in a way to follow. He created me as a helpmate. He created me as the opposite to Adam, right? If women could be a woman, if women acted like women
Instead of men,
because
they're acting like men,
we'd have better men.
I don't believe in feminism.
The feminist movement is one of the biggest reasons for the divorce rate these days.
Man every day, and a man goes work, and he's tired when he gets home. A woman's not tired. She has to clean, cook, do the dishes, do the laundry. Are you kidding me?
Why don't you want to do that?
What are you talking about? Why don't I?
I mean,
Tiring that is? Have you done that?
first of all,
I do it every day.
first of all, yelling doesn't mean you're winning an argument. It's a sign of low intelligence. You can lower your voice and speak to me. I'm sitting right here. I can hear you. Men have different responsibilities. So all this, I cook and I clean, and yeah, that's part of your function. But when your tire is flat, my function is to make sure you have a new tire. When your car need an oil change, it's my job to make sure these people ain't ripping you off. We have different duties and functions and responsibilities. And if you don't love your duty, your function, your responsibility, you're not fit to be a wife, period.
July 1848, Seneca Falls, New York. A man stands before a room full of women fighting for the right to vote. He's not there to argue. He's there because he believes they're right. His name is Frederick Douglass, and the room hesitates on whether to demand full voting rights. He's the one who speaks up. He argues that the same moral principles that condemn slavery also condemn the segregation of women. The resolution passes by a slim margin. This is where it started. Not women against men. Women and men looking at a broken system and deciding to fix it together. That's what feminism was supposed to be about. But there's a part of this story that you never hear. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, one of the founders of Seneca Falls, had something to say about who should vote alongside of white women. Her words, "What will we do when all the lower orders, natives, foreigners, Dutch, Irish, Chinese, and Africans, legislate for her and her daughters?" The founding mothers weren't fighting for universal equality. This isn't French history. This is the foundation. First wave feminism wasn't about equality. It was about which women got access to which power. They don't teach you this because it breaks the myth. The myth that feminism was always about justice. That the people who oppose it now are on the wrong side of history. History is messier than that. And so is the movement that grew out of it. For a while, the mission made sense. Women couldn't own property. They couldn't access education. They couldn't vote. Those were real barriers, and tearing them down was legitimate work. But somewhere along the way, the mission changed. It stopped being about equal access. It started being about power, about framing half the population as a disease that needed treating. The system wasn't the problem anymore. You were. Toxic masculinity, male privilege, the patriarchy, words underneath to make you guilty by default. Not because of anything you did, but because of what you are.
What right do men have that women do not?
Can you name any rights men have today that women don't?
Any rights that men have that women do not? Any rights that men have that women do not? No. No.
So then what laws are feminists fighting for?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
The American Psychological Association made it official in 2019. Traditional masculinity, stoicism, competitiveness, self-reliance, declared harmful. The trait that built civilization, now a diagnosis. The early feminists wanted a seat at the table. The current version wants to flip the table, burn the room, and charge you for the fire damage. And here's the part that should make you angry. You're still building every single day. Let me tell you who actually keeps this world running. 92 to 93% of workplace fatality are men, exposed to danger at 10 times the rate of women. That number hasn't moved in 30 years. Logging, roofing, fishing, electrical line work, mining, trucking, sanitation, oil rigs, cell tower climbing. Jobs that don't happen from a laptop. Jobs that break your body before you're 50. Jobs that sometimes don't let you come home.
What's your plan when men stop doing the dirty and dangerous jobs that keep society running?
Can you give me an example of which jobs you're referring to?
Logging, plumbing, crab fishing, oil rig. When men stop doing the dangerous jobs, when men stop getting married, when men stop having kids, what's your plan?
I'm not worried about that.
Of course you're not.
No, I don't have a plan.
When a hurricane knocks out power to 1 million homes, it's not a gender study graduate climbing the poles in the rain at 2 a.m. It's men, quietly, without a hashtag or a thank you. And the cultural reward? The future is female. You're out there keeping the lights on, and they're inside, in the light that you're providing, explaining why you're the problem. The walls you're inside, men built them. The wiring keeping your screen lit, men ran it. The roads you drove on, the bridges you crossed, the trucks that brought food to your store this morning. Men, not exclusively, but overwhelmingly, exposed to the danger so everyone else can sit in comfort. The privilege of a blown out knee at 45. The privilege of being invisible until something breaks. The privilege of building everything and being thanked with contempt. That's the deal you inherited. And you've kept your end. I need to stop here and say something. I know you're tired. Tired of being told you have advantages you've never felt. Tired of showing up, shutting up, keeping things running, and getting called the oppressor for it. I know you've lost people. Friends who got quieter and quieter until one day, they were just gone. No hashtag, no awareness month. Just silence. And you carrying it alone. I know you've tried to say something. Maybe once, and learned fast that your pain doesn't fit the conversation. So you stopped talking because you learned that feeling it out loud costs more than swallowing it. I see that. I see you. Because what happened wasn't random. It was architecture. The ideology didn't stay university. It became the operating system.
What's irrational? Women competing with men. Men and women were never meant to be rivals. Not for jobs, not for chores, not for who parents better, not for who brings in more money. Feminism trained women to believe that fulfillment comes from reaching for the same accomplishments as men. But here's the problem. Men and women were designed for separate scoreboards. Men find meaning in building, conquering, protecting, and providing. Women find their sole purpose in nurturing, creating, and shaping the home. When women try to play in men's roles, they lose on both fronts. They burn out on trying to keep up, and then they resent the family that they crave to nurture. Marriage and family are not supposed to be this tug-of-war competition. It's supposed to be a complementary dance. But a dance only works when the steps are different. One leads, one follows. But both are essential. Competing with men doesn't liberate women. It steals the harmony that we were designed for.
Boys are now 16 points behind girls in college degrees. A wider gap than the one that triggered Title IX in the other direction. But there's no Title IX for boys. Schools were redesigned around sitting still and verbal processing. Boys who didn't fit got diagnosed, suspended at 3 times the rate of girls, medicated into compliance, pushed out. The APA told therapists that masculinity is the risk factor. The document meant to help men starts from the premise that manhood was the disease. The Duluth model, the most used domestic violence framework in America, assumes men are perpetrators and women are victims. By design, when the violence runs the other way, there's almost nowhere for him to go. Custody courts still default to mothers. False accusations can erase a man's career before he sees a courtroom. And when the truth comes out, she faces almost nothing. HRDEI framework that explicitly deprioritize men in hiring and promotion. This isn't theory. This is how institutions run now. And then there's what you see every day. The future is female. On shirts, mugs, corporate slogans. Imagine the future is male anywhere. You'd be deleted by noon. All razor companies lecturing its own customers about how men need to be better. Not criminals. Men as a category. A TEDx talk titled Why I Hate Men. Standing ovation. still on the platform. You're in the trench keeping the pipes from freezing. And culturally, you're the villain in someone else's story. Here's what they took: the right to struggle out loud, the right to have your pain acknowledged. Men are nearly 80% of those who don't survive their darkest moments. Almost 40,000 a year. 1 every 11 minutes. And when someone raises it, the response is, oh, that's toxic masculinity. Men won't ask for help. Or is it that every time a man did ask, he got a lecture instead of a hand? Your pain was removed from the conversation and you were blamed for its absence. And if you point any of this out, you're an incel, a misogynist, probably radicalized. So men go quiet. They learn the only safe move is silence. And then the same people who enforce that silence write think pieces asking why men are in darker corners on the internet. You made the mainstream hostile. The corners was all that was left.
The feminist movement is one of the biggest reasons for the divorce rate these days because women have become so masculine. If a woman gets in her masculine energy, a lot of times she'll be disrespectful to her husband. And men don't do well with disrespect. There's surveys that say that 80% of men say they would rather be alone and unloved than to be disrespected. And see, the feminist movement has taken it so far over the years. It's not just equal rights anymore. Now it's men are being diminished and devalued and demoralized. What do we need men for? We don't need men. We can buy our own cars and we can vote. We can make our own money, run our own business. We can even have babies without men. And that makes men feel awful. A man doesn't feel he has anything to contribute to that woman's life. He's better move on down the road.
Here's what the policy produced. No-fault divorce, rewritten in the 1970s, let women exit marriage for whatever reason while retaining assets in custody by default. Title IX campus court created tribunal where accused men lost the right to see evidence or cross-examine. Due process suspended in the name of believing women. Downstream, the wreckage accumulated. Nearly half of men under 30 are single, not by choice, by exhaustion. Marriage collapsing, birth rates falling, loneliness at record high. 25% of young men feel it constantly. 15% of men have no close friends, up from 3% in 1990. This is what happens when you tell half the population that they're the disease. They stop showing up. International Women's Day, UN recognized, corporate backed, a holiday in some countries. International Men's Day, not a UN observant. Most people don't know it exists. Women's shelters get federal funding. Men's shelter barely exists. And when someone tries to open one, it gets protested. Breast cancer gets a month and billions in funding. Prostate cancer claims just as many men and gets a fraction. Her pain is a crisis. Yours is a footnote. Here's the part that changes everything. They need you, not your approval, not your guilt. They need your labor, your risk, your body on the line, keeping everything from falling apart. When the power goes out, when the pipe bursts, when something breaks that can't be fixed from a keyboard, they're not calling the gender studies department. They're calling you. It means you have leverage that you were taught to forget. The people who framed you as the problem can't actually function without you. They overplayed their hand. They told you that you were worthless while depending on your work. That contradiction can't hold forever. And it won't. So here's where this lands. This is not about hating women. Most women didn't design this system. They're inside the same machine, handed a different script. But this is about you dropping the apology. You are not the disease. You are not what's broken. You are the reason the building stands, the reason the power flows, the reason anything works at all. You were taught shame for that, taught silence. You don't owe anyone your guilt. You don't owe anyone your silence. And you damn sure don't owe apology to people who called you toxic while relying on your labor to survive. Frederick Douglass showed up in 1848 because he believed men and women could fix broken systems together. That partnership was abandoned, not by you. They built a world that runs on what you provide and called you poison for providing it. You're done accepting that. Not with rage, not with revenge, just with clarity. And the quiet refusal to carry their shame anymore. It's been your girl, Rene. I'll see you guys in my next video.